Auto sequence start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, hello there. Welcome, my fellow extraordinary humans, to another installment of Can Conversation. My name is Andrew, and with me, as always, my good friend Steven.
Well, hello.
All right, my friend. So they say everyone has their 15 minutes of fame. How many minutes have you used of your allotment so far?
I don't know that I've used any. I think I still have 15
All
minutes.
15?
I have all 15 minutes left,
Okay.
if I had to guess.
Yeah, so have you ever been...
No, not
like
been on TV. Not
newspaper,
done,
no articles written about you?
Yeah, but a small town newspaper. I don't know if that count. That might be seconds of fame or
Were
something.
you like part of a team in
Yeah,
that? or?
just played.
Okay.
Yeah, I played sports and
Nothing individual, no. Steven
No, I lied.
stopped a robbery.
Yeah, I would play tennis in high school, so I have had my picture on the sports page of my local
the local hometown
yeah, so
press.
just me in all my glory with a mullet that's got curly in the back and it's probably died from sun in or something. But yeah.
In a pose as if you're about to...
I'm about to be Andre Agassi or something. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
How about
yeah.
you? Have you used yours?
All my fame is still in the can, as they say. I'm just waiting for it to get out.
Oh, you haven't unleashed it, unpopped
Right.
it.
I was hoping...
All right.
Part of me was hoping, I don't know, it's one of those like, and this is kind of the topic we're going to talk a little bit about today is like, if you get to where something goes a little bit bigger, like if this were to like take off
Like this
somehow,
whole podcast,
right,
yeah.
right, and it becomes second to Joe Rogan because he'll always dominate. What would like that? Seems it might get too big.
Agree. I still need to be
pressure.
I need to be able to go to the store without being recognized.
Exactly.
As long as it doesn't get that big.
I need some amount of anonymity.
Yeah, I can't live like that.
All right. Well, as is our special place in the podcast universe, one of us brings a new, unique, or rare canned beverage to try. And while we lap up its contents, we will do our very best to entertain you with our take on life's most interesting topics. Today is about whether we are rare or unique ourselves, and if that's good or bad.
Okay.
Later in the show, we'll review and rate the canned beverage and let you know if you should try it while cheering on your favorite football team in the World Cup.
You mean soccer?
Soccer, American soccer. The rest of the world knows it as football.
The metric people?
Yes. Who use their foot for that sport. But hey, our country did advance in a bit of a nail biter.
Yeah.
Against
Iran.
Iran.
Yeah.
I think it's Iran. There was a bit of news on that. They were interviewing one of the guys. You're saying it wrong. Like, okay,
Whatever. It's spelled clearly in English. I ran. Like it's
Not sure what you're missing here, guys.
yeah.
That's probably why you lost. But anyway, so that was kind of fun, and we've like actually made it out of the round robin into the knockout round. So it'll be fun to watch the game, and we'll probably lose. But hey, I'll be cheering us on. You never know what'll happen, but we're not ever that good. So
I'm excited
We'll
that
see.
you're going to
We'll
watch
see.
the game. Good on you.
I've been watching. It's been fun to watch because there has been less of the crazy dives. I'm in pain, and I'm not really in pain,
Right.
which is the biggest reason. I think we maybe touched on this in one of the last episodes that I can't. It's hard for me to watch because there's so much theatrics, but there's been less of that.
Well, that's nice.
So yeah, I was actually kind of proud especially during the England game. It was very tight and seemed pretty good. There was only one or two that I was like, just get up,
Yeah.
But,
My problem is they play in a 7-acre field
right.
and somebody scores once in
Yeah.
like 90 minutes or something. Like it's an inordinate amount of time for someone to only score once when the goal is that big.
Right. It's a
going
huge
on?
opening. But there are a ton of people out
I know.
there.
Reduce those people. Make the field smaller.
3-on-3.
Make it look like hockey with your foot.
Yes.
And I'm in.
Yeah,
but I can't do it.
I think they would gas out so fast on that big of a playing field. That's why indoor soccer is much smaller.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we need a
Wow.
beverage. We're talking
Sorry.
way too much without something to quench our palates here. So here, let's not forget this again. I did forget this on the
is-
Thanksgiving X, so let's try this one. All right.
Right after I got here, I ordered some spaghetti with marinara sauce, and I got egg noodles and ketchup. I'm an average nobody. Get to live the rest of my life like a schnook.
Schnook.
This is a new music bed that I got.
Yeah. I know that quote. I can't tell you what movie it's from, and I should. That's horrible because I know that quote.
Yes, you should. Let me turn that down just a little bit. But that's a really good music bed. No, I have a bunch of them, but like I every once in a while I go out and find a couple new ones.
That's a good one. I like it.
I like. Yeah, that one's from Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. Yeah.
Ray Liotta.
Yep. Yeah.
Gone but not forgotten.
Is he gone?
Yeah. But that's going to be my new thing because I keep hearing, I've said R.I.P. and I hear that a lot. I feel like I'm going to change it. I'm like gone but not forgotten because rest in peace. Sure. Yeah. I hope he's resting in peace. But I mean, once you're gone, you're of course resting in peace. It's kind of already there. So, but gone but not forgotten.
Yeah.
But no, that was so that's towards the end, right? When he goes into the witness protection, he has to.
The rest of my life is a
right.
GBNF. That's going to be your new saying. Gone but not forgotten.
Yes, and I actually was thinking about doing the initials for it too.
Yep. GBNF.
So before I jump into the topic today, I just
are we going to talk about the beer?
Oh yeah.
For the love of all things holy.
You're like, let's walk up music. I got so much stuff today. There's so much to cover. But let's get a beer in us. Yeah, let's start with this. So Burgkopf.
We've had this brand.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it's pineapple.
Yes, they did the pineapple brew that we enjoyed. So this one is hard coffee. It's a malt beverage with artificial coffee flavor and caramel color. I believe it's 7.5 alcohol by volume. It is 1 pint.
How many floored ounces is that?
We do this every time we have a pint.
But it says it's 1 pint and 0.9 floored ounces, right? So
it's just a smidge over a pint. Or 500 milliliters if you're the World Cup folks.
If you're watching the World Cup right now.
Yes. Here's the thing about this, and I'm just going to throw this out here that I learned today as I'm going to look the folks up and, do just a hint of research more on this to see if I can find anything. And what I found is that they haven't talked about this since 2020.
They're still producing it. Have never said a word about it.
I don't know that they're still producing it. So there's one of two things here going on here. It's not on their website. I went on their Facebook and I went back to 2020 to find out where they posted about this. So one of two things is going on here. One, this sat on the shelf of my local
2 years or more
retailer for 2 years, in which case, I'm sorry, if you want to drink along, you might not be able to find it because they might not make it. Or two, it's super rare in that they only put out certain batches. And
it's like a unicorn beer.
Yeah.
For a German beer producer.
My guess is that they put it out in 2020 or shortly thereafter, and they're just still selling whatever's left, which if you're going by born on date, I hope that doesn't hurt the taste. We'll see.
Not super fuzzy, right? Is that what I just saw? Not super carbonated?
On the, I don't know. Oh, it's carbonated.
Okay.
And I have another one.
Yep, great. You keep going.
So what I was really excited to get to was, we often ask for feedback, and we love ratings too. We every once in a while say, maybe go out and give us a rating. So I had this email come in, and to our account, to our Can Combo account at cancombo@gmail.com, and it said, hey, you have this new rating on your website, cancombo.com, or canconversation.com. Both will get you there.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is great. It's a 5-star rating. Say, hey, you got a new 5-star rating. Here it is. So I'm going to read it for you because I think you're going to love it. Here it goes.
I'm going to love it.
Hello, all guys. I know my message may be too specific, but my sister found nice man here and they married. So how about me? ? I'm 25 years old. Alina from Romania. I know English and German languages also. And I have specific disease named nymphomania. Who know what is this? Can understand me. Better to say it immediately. Yes, I cook very tasty. And I love not only cook, I'm real girl, not prostitute. And looking for serious and hot relationship. Anyway, you can find my profile here.
Just for the record, thank you, Romanian listeners.
Right. Thanks, Alina from Romania. Appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, agree. I hope you find some sort of, help with your disease.
Right.
That can't be great all the time. I mean, it sounds like a great disease, but it's probably not. It's probably an affliction.
Yeah.
It affects a lot of people. So I hope you get help with that. And I appreciate you listening.
Appreciate your listening. You're trilingual.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a lot of things going for you.
Romanian, English, and German. Yeah. So hopefully you have a good job that has good health benefits that can maybe get you some help with your.
And thanks for the 5 stars.
Yeah,
I mean,
I love it.
this is why I love our international listeners.
Exactly.
And our non-prostitute listeners specifically. Honestly, those are the ones I like the best.
Huge demographic.
Yeah. Our female non-prostitute Romanian listeners coming through in a pinch, which I've said they would. I told you at some point
Only a matter
in
of
this
time.
podcast, the non-prostitute female Romanian listeners are really going to turn it up
Right,
because
they're
we're
gonna
going to
bust
hit.
through.
That's our demographic. I mean, that's our wheelhouse.
Yeah. Agree.
Okay, great.
So keep on listening. All right. So we're going to, I just wanted to put this out here. This is a touchy-feely alert.
Right after the prostitution issue that we just had. Okay, great. Awesome.
So typically when I bring some stuff, it's not always a touchy-feely. But today I think it's more along the lines of less factual based and history and documentary type stuff. And it's going to be a little bit more on some, what do you think is going on with people nowadays as it relates to being unique versus average, cool, uncool, and the like. So specifically, I want to talk about sort of uniqueness. I'm going to get to it in a minute here, just kind of where this came from in a conversation with my daughter. But I thought I would start by asking you, hey, do you feel you're unique? Are you a rare specimen, if you will?
I feel like I am average in a lot of ways. And I feel like the more I interact with the world and in different jobs and in different people, there is a very unique piece of my personality that's unlike other people that I meet. So I feel like there's a small circle of me that's very unique. There's a big circle of me. If you go, you are an average sized, average ethnicity,
Right.
like you hit the majority of ethnicity in this country, your average height, average weight, like the charts, you're 5'11".
You have 2 kids.
Yeah, you're 2 kids, you're married,
You have a couple of cars.
Just I couldn't be more brown-eyed, brown hair, whatever's left of my hair, brown-haired, like average
Wear
build.
corrective lenses.
Right. Yeah, like seriously, couldn't be more average. And I kind of I go, yeah, that's just how people are, right? But then there's a piece of my personality I think that I've found is different than a lot of people.
And do you like that? Like, are you proud of that piece? I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
I think
Is
I
it,
appreciate that
in the
piece
survey
more.
world of knowing how to give surveys and
Yes,
how to
that's
interpret
all. That's
them?
the only small circle that makes me unique. Yeah, I think it's really more of how I think of things or how I perceive the world, and well, some of it's risk or some of it's opportunity, that kind of stuff. But when you interact with people who don't think like you, you're like, wow, there's a lot of people who think like that, and then you start going, not very many people kind of process the way I think, which
Okay.
is also very frustrating, right? When you're unique and you
Right,
process things
right.
a certain way, and no one else around you gets it, and you're like, I'm alone on my island at some points.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes.
It's sort of that, you throw out maybe, sometimes people call it unpopular opinions or just different opinions on something that seems to be, a sort of a universal, and you go, but there's another way to look at it. And people all just kind of look at you like, what?
Yeah.
What are you saying? Okay, hang with me here, but just, all right.
So where are you at with that? Do you think you're unique?
No.
No.
Well,
Negative.
right. No, I feel like I'm very average, in very similar to you, where, I go to my 9-to-5 job for the most part. I have the kids, I have the house, I have the cars, in suburban America. I feel like I'm the person that unique people are trying to sell things to. And we'll get to that, right? Because I think that's part of it. I think when people want to be or strive to be unique, they can either sell themselves or sell something. But we'll kind of get to that. Like you, I do think, we think in a certain way. Do I think it's unique? maybe to the world around in our world that we see. But I think in the larger world, there's probably a lot of people like us.
If you zoomed out and macro level, you're like, you know what? Even my weird thinking is probably pretty average. If you like, I'm looking at the 200 people in the world that I interact with, and if you look at the
8 billion
on Earth, that you're like, there's probably enough of others use.
Right. And they mostly hang out on Reddit.
Right.
Because, I'm like, I don't have to comment most of the times. I just go to the comment section. I'm like, that guy gets it.
Yeah. You can find him.
Or she gets it, right? But yeah, that's, if anytime I feel like I have a unique thought, I just go to the comment section. I'm like, taken. It's good. All right. So, average, when we talk about average, I think we're talking about falling in sort of the statistical norms of things, not too far outside. But something I'm not really referring to, so as I kind of get into this, are characteristics that people are born with, like race, sex, mental or physical disabilities. Obviously, that's unique, and sometimes, unfortunately, like our listener from Romania who suffers from
a condition,
nymphomania. Right. That's something that she can't help.
Right. Any of the manias are hard to deal with. So I'm with you.
So let me tell you where this all started, and then I want to get your thoughts on kind of this. So I've been sitting on this for a little while. So if you're AGT or America's Got Talent, that's usually on during the summer.
Yeah.
And so there was a contestant that was on, and she called herself Freckled Zelda. Do you watch that show?
I do watch that show, and I do not remember that person.
So Freckled Zelda looked like I think she was sort of a wood fairy or a fairy of the woods kind of thing.
Dressed up.
She had prosthetic ears that made them very pointy. Her costume was very of the woods and fairy fantasy.
Lord of the Rings looking thing.
Very, very similar to that. And she was a singer. And so she sang fantastic. I mean, she was a really good singer. Do I think she was the best singer? Right. No. But she was a good singer. Like enough that I went, oh, she's a really good singer.
She's got a decent voice.
So I'm like, well, this is kind of interesting. She has this character that she is. Right. And I'm like, I need to, because they asked her when she did her audition.
Why the hell are you dressed up
like
a fairy?
Yeah, hey, would you consider maybe, is this part of your whole persona? And she said, yes, this is me. And I come to find out she's a huge TikTok star. She has like 7 million followers on TikTok, and she makes these videos of her singing and playing this like little pan flute.
Okay, yeah.
Just as you would expect.
Yeah,
right.
From a wood elf.
Right. And so this is her thing for sure. So I made the comment out loud that if it weren't for her dressing up and appearing as like she's an elf, that AGT might not have shown her.
Yeah, she wouldn't have got the audition.
Right. Or even televised it, because I'm sure there's a ton of auditions we don't even see.
Yep.
But she got good airtime, a little bit of, hey, you're also seen behind the scenes.
And they know she has 7 million TikTok fans.
They don't say that.
But they 100% know. They do research on people.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah. So like the voice is the same way. They go out and find people, and those people already have fans. They're dumb if they don't put somebody on who looks like a wood elf who's got 7 million TikTok fans and she sings pretty decent. Give her a shot, like all day long. You can't go wrong.
Because that's so. What I'm going for is it's unique, right? In our world,
somebody will remember it.
It's very unique, and we've said this before of shows like AGT that they really seem to concentrate on uniqueness. That's sort of their bread and butter. And if they have somebody on with a really good talent, but isn't quite unique, like if you were to go on, but you could sing like nobody's business, they would try to find something in your backstory that they would.
It would be, I would rip your heartstrings, pull at your heartstrings, right? Because that's the only way to make me unique and not just a middle-aged white guy with a receding hairline who's got a set of pipes, but no one really cares.
Yeah, right. Because there's a lot of people that are like us that can sing. Everyone can actually technically sing, unless you're a mute. Right. Or
that's true.
Potentially deaf if you can't, but most people, I'd say 95% of the people, you can sing. Now, most are they, and they range from good
to horrible.
Right, to bad. But there are a lot of good singers out there that probably will never be like superstars because they never think that they'll make it, right? But there's a lot of good singers. So what sets you apart? And that was sort of my comment there. My youngest, who was in middle school at the time and has now gone on to high school, she got kind of offended at that. Like you could tell, like her body language kind of changed, and she was like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Well, she's unique. She is not your average person off the street,
which is what
singing.
Gets attention."
And she was very offended by that. She said that shouldn't be considered unique. That should be.
Yes.
So that's where I was going with this. Right? It's an interesting thought, right?
And I love your youngest daughter to death. Always have. And I believe her to have a unique mindset as well. She thinks of things differently. She's got a very creative mind. Right. She draws and paints and just looks at the world a little bit different, which is what I love about her. Like that's just her unique view on life. But I also think that is that generation's view of the world is that you can do anything and you shouldn't be looked at as anything different than everybody else. Like we should just see everybody as it's okay. Like there is no normal thing. Like, so I just think that's their view of the world is that everything's just perfectly fine and we shouldn't call out any differences. And that's just not how the world works, in my opinion. So sorry, I may have skipped ahead.
No, this is exactly because that was like I think this will be sort of a choose where we go, choose your own adventure, sort of where that goes, because that was my mindset as well. I was like, well, if it weren't that way, they wouldn't have her on. So, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I think it's to her benefit that she is very unique, and there will be other people that strive to do the same thing to further their career in that same way, or further what they want. They want 7 million TikTok viewers. Yeah, I'm not going to get 700 million or 7 million TikTok viewers singing.
No, right.
I'm just throwing it out there. I don't think so.
AGT had a guy dressed as underwear.
Literally that giant underwear guy that came out and he was
Pants.
a comedian and was horrible at it. Just told pun jokes and they were not great. And you're like, but they put him through it one round at least. Because he was like that, we've never seen a comedian come out dressed in like he brought something different, and that's all they look for. Is you're bringing me something different that I haven't seen. Different entertains me. I'm putting you through. If you dressed like a normal comedian, you would have sucked. We wouldn't have put you through. You probably wouldn't have made it on the show.
Yeah, because the jokes definitely
were not
terrible.
great. Oh, they were horrible.
They were terrible.
And that was maybe part of his shtick. I don't. Or maybe he's just a bad comedian. I don't know, but like, it was horrible.
Yeah. So when I thought about this freckled Zelda, I'm like, well,
I think she could have come up with a better name too, for one, but maybe not. The nerd crowd probably loves the Zelda reference. But.
The old Nintendo game.
Yeah.
It's now on other platforms, I'm sure, but the old NES is kind of was where Zelda was born. But what I was kind of trying to relay is that I don't think that character is unique if I go to Comic-Con.
Right.
If I go there, I expect to see
everyone should be dressed
everyone
up.
is in a unique character costume.
Yep.
If I went to 90% of the business meetings in the world, I'm not going to see a freckled Zelda.
Right.
And is that wrong? I don't know. I think that there are business people who would go, you probably shouldn't show up as freckled Zelda to a business meeting. I think the generation that you're speaking, because you hinted on this, right? I think that generation is going to say, you should be able to go to business meetings as freckled Zelda.
So here's my argument to that though: is freckled Zelda, is a persona or an alter ego to a person. Just like at Comic-Con, you go and there's a guy dressed up like Iron Man. He doesn't dress up like Iron Man when no one's watching. He doesn't have to go to work.
These days.
But like when freckled Zelda doesn't have to make a TikTok video and doesn't have anything going on a Saturday, just gets up and makes some coffee and on Sunday and watches Meet the Press with whatever she does. I don't know what she does on a Sunday.
She's making TikTok videos is probably what she's doing.
Every day. But she doesn't. I would guarantee she doesn't dress up as freckled Zelda every day because she's like, this is just who I am. I'm always a wood elf. No, it's a persona that she likes to play. Like that's how she expresses herself creatively. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's her
And I think
Oh,
that's
God.
I think that's us as the get off our lawn.
Oh, it's 100%
mentality.
old white man.
Because I
probably.
think that there are members, I think that it's becoming more and more acceptable
to just
to live
as an alternate
as
thing.
and I'm not saying she does. I have no idea.
Okay.
You know, you knock on the door at 8:00 in the morning. You say, "Hey, you're having your coffee." Does she answer the door as Freckled Zelda? Who knows? I don't know that. She didn't really say. But that was sort of my point. I agree with you. I'm like, she is a persona. She is a character. She's very unique in that she looks, acts, and can sing, and that's entertaining. And that's what we're buying.
And I can appreciate the fact that she goes, every day, I like this I like this piece of me, and I'm going to use that piece of me this way. Like that's part of my personality. But I will also say, if Freckled Zelda is listening, you're more than welcome to come on this show and this podcast and talk to us about whether or not this is you on a Sunday watching Meet the Press, if you're still like not making TikTok videos and you're still dressed up like Freckled Zelda, or if this is just like your way of being creative and it just happens to be a persona that makes you dress up and allows you through that dressing up to express yourself the way that you want to.
Sweet.
Okay.
I agree with that. So what I'm going to kind of do.
Hashtag bring Freckled Zelda.
Let's get her on the show and her 7 million people.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It's good exposure.
Yep. She's getting mentioned on our Instagram, just for the record on this one.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about things that we kind of, I think throughout our childhood too, we're being pushed as we should be unique. And then we're going to rate the can. And then we're going to come back. We're going to talk about our own experiences in our youth, high school.
Okay.
As to where we fit in the, hemisphere of Breakfast Club, if you will. Because I think that's kind of where I was going, where it is
the demographic of Breakfast Club.
Yeah. And when you're that age and what uniqueness, whether it's good or bad, or is, and maybe it's good to a certain point, and then it can be bad. You'll get where I'm going, hopefully. So here's just a quick couple of things that, when I started thinking about, okay, well, if we're sort of fed that to be unique is good, I feel like, or at least that's what gets paid, right? So sports, if you're uniquely
gifted,
built, and gifted to be 7'2", then NBA is calling your name, right? I mean, Shaquille O'Neal does not get paid what he gets paid being 6 foot.
If he's 5'11" like me,
even 6 foot, but or 5'11",
no,
just like you,
yeah. There's no Shaquille O'Neal 5'11" size.
No, baseball, very football. I mean, those guys and girls, are built. And I won't say it's all genetics, because you do have to practice, but there are those people that want to be so unique that all they do is practice. They go to special schools, they go to special clubs, they go, there's a school out west for just punting and kicking that all they do
is kick balls,
is kick all day long so that you could be a punter, in the NFL.
I watched a Michael Phelps interview, like seriously this week, just a clip from it. And it was probably on Instagram. So it's just a clip of one of his things. And he said, I swam for 20 years, like straight for 20 years, right? Basically. And he goes, I think there was probably less than 100 days in 20 years that I felt like I'm not going to get out of bed. Like I'm tired. I'm not going to the pool. And he goes, those are the days that I knew I had to go to the pool. And he goes, so I swam when you look at him, he's built, and you go, that's what swimmers are built like. Like he's got long arms and he's lean and he's super tall and he's just got the complete swimmer's build. But he put in a hell of a lot of work to do what he did.
Right. He had multiple uniqueness in that he was hereditarily built as a swimmer, and then he had the mindset of do nothing but swim and win.
But a goal,
win.
Mindset of an athlete.
Smoke a joint. Win
some more. Yeah. Agree.
Same thing. Like I just have a couple of things on here. Reality TV, right? Like you have to be unique. No one's going to watch a show if you're just walking around making eggs and feeding your dog. You have to be over the top, right? There has to be something there that's unique to you. Watch all the movies. What are all movies about? Spies, action movies of people doing things that car chases you can't possibly be
People
part of.
put into weird and unique situations. And
Superheroes.
yeah.
I mean, that's uniqueness you can't even attain.
Right. You can't even train for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Any of you got? Like I said, I was just throwing down, here's thoughts I have down. 6-pack abs and a killer body equals mo money.
That sounds like notes I would write for the podcast. That's not your style. But it's the same with I think with modeling in some ways or shape or form, that they're looking for. It used to be you just have the same figure, but now they're looking for people of color that are unique looking, people with freckles or like things that will make their product stand out. I think it's the same with intelligence, right? Is I'm looking for MIT grads that can solve crazy, like the person who has got like the brilliant mind. You're like, that person, they have a competitive advantage over everybody. Their brain works different. They are
Right.
They may be socially inept. They may be the, like kind of Big Bang Theory, Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. But we're okay with that kind of uniqueness because we need that person to just go sit in a lab somewhere and solve problems.
Right.
And we just won't talk to him because he's a socially an idiot.
Awkward.
Right. But
And what's funny? So hold on to that thought, because that was one that I had written down where in high school, if your uniqueness is such that you're like a Sheldon Cooper, it's bad.
oh, you get beat to death.
But as you grow, mature, adulthood, take that uniqueness and apply it somewhere else, it becomes good.
Right.
So right with you there. So and then I had I'd said the thing mo money, and then I put mo money equals mo toys. So that's what I think people they look up to, they strive to be, right? I wish I was that athlete. I wish I was that reality star. I wish I was that singer that I see on TV, on The Voice, making, I don't know. So that's where I feel like everyone, and then having that conversation that everyone wants to be unique.
What's interesting, and maybe we're going to get this, I don't know, but what people want to be is unique that makes you famous. And what people haven't figured out is you may not be unique in those same ways that make you famous. If you don't sing well, I mean, if you can't carry a tune, you can go get trained to sing better. You may never be, Adele. Like it
Right.
she's been gifted. That's her thing. Like whatever. Or you may never be LeBron James. It's just, even if you're that same size, you may just not have it. That may not be your uniqueness that you could,
Right.
Your parents can fund tons and tons of basketball camps, and you can spend club money and all that kind of crap, and you'll never be LeBron James because your uniqueness is something else that you haven't discovered yet of what makes you unique.
And throwing you a curveball here, what if you're unique like Rebecca Black,
Who's that?
the one that sang Friday?
Oh, yeah.
That young woman.
Oh, my God.
It was so horrible.
Yeah, that could be your uniqueness is
Right.
you're going to get made parodies of.
And is that like, does she wish that, I don't know her
but
personally
she's welcome
either.
on the show as well.
Sure. But like, if you asked
sure.
her, I mean, I think she would go, I had my 15 minutes of fame.
Oh my God.
I'll do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Even though she was ruthlessly mocked.
Oh yeah.
And
by me.
If no one else but you. But there were parodies. There were people that were like, Rebecca Black's the worst singer in America. And I mean, that has to hurt your feelings a bit, but you're still out there like, but look who
You know
sold
who
some
I
stuff.
am, right? Yeah, I got a crap ton of money out of it.
Still on iTunes. So you can, I mean, it
Still
might
getting
not,
royalty checks. It's all good.
I mean, that's the paradox of
I don't want to be that
uniqueness.
kind of famous either. Just for the record, I don't think.
But there's so many of them, right? I mean, you see them on the news, and
Yeah.
I think they're both like, you like graphs and stuff, right?
I
Like,
love
It's
graphs.
like you have both the popular for good, what people consider
Yeah.
good uniqueness, but then with all of the internet, right, where you want to laugh, you get all the stupid.
Yeah.
Like, so I shouldn't say stupid, but like the
You
people that are not
get the
being
bullying
unique for
style uniqueness.
great reasons. You mess up a TV interview on your local news station, you could go viral
Yeah.
and be the talk of the world, maybe the United States, probably not
Yeah.
the world, but you will be played and mocked and have songs, right? Like
hide your kids, hide your wife.
hide your wife.
Like that person probably didn't make any money out of that.
I doubt it.
But there are songs with that in it,
Right.
which is great. And I bet that thing's been viewed 1 billion times.
I'm sure.
There's a bunch of them. Yeah, I mean, like, oh, yeah, all of the vines and
Right.
all the weird Instagram reels have just rolled through my head. So I can.
No, it's all good because I think that's what I'm going for. Right? Is like there's average, right? There's
Yeah.
there's your middle ground where most people are kind of hanging out, but they're like, I really want to be. It would be awesome to be famous. And now that with like a TikToks and the reels, anyone can try.
Yeah.
And don't believe me, the fact that it falls on me that we're doing a podcast right now that we try to put out there.
Yeah,
and
we
entertain
want to have 1
people.
billion views.
Yes.
Don't
So
get me wrong.
We are trying to be unique, right?
I
am
not just
doing
the
this.
non-prostitute nymphomaniacs in Romania to listen. I want everyone in Romania to listen.
Yes.
I mean,
and all those small offshoot countries that are over there.
anybody in conflict over there should be listening to this to put their mind at ease.
Yeah.
100% agree.
So that does not get lost on me. Know that I'm not like a
There's some irony
hypocrite
here.
in this.
Yeah, no. We do want 1 billion views. We'll settle for 1 million.
Yes.
It's fine, but per episode. But I think there's something there of you can be famous for all kinds of wrong reasons and still make money
Right.
off of it. You can get famous for all kinds of bad reasons and never make money and just be the butt of some jokes. I don't want that at all. Period.
And you might make some money.
Your uniqueness, all it does is cause you misery and gives you no joy. Like it's Friday, girl. Like that's probably a lot of misery, but she's made some money off that.
But like I said, if you would ask her,
It may be worth it.
yeah, she might go, man, that was the best 15 minutes of fame I could have hoped for. I'm not Adele. So,
Right.
Hey, you know my name.
Yeah.
Someone on a podcast now
It's talking about me. 10 years later, 15 years later, whenever that thing came out, it's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was around 2010.
Yeah.
8,
That's
9,
a ton of years ago for us to be talking about it now.
Yeah, but it's so ingrained in us, right? All right. Well, let's talk about.
We
this
need to get to this beer,
and then we'll come back and we'll talk more because we're unique in that manner that we bring a beer every time and we try it, and we're not beer aficionados to a hipster degree. I saw a really great. I'm just going to say this before, and then I'll get to it. I saw a great. I don't remember if it was a meme or if it was just a quote that someone wrote down, but it was like, do you know how many good styles of ale are out there? Why are so many people focused on just the Indian pale version? There's American ale, there's Belgian ale, there's German ales, there's all kinds of ales.
We had farmhouse ale, so we're good from wherever that was from.
And these folks at Burgkopf normally make Belgian. They're Belgian inspired. I think when I tried
the pineapple
to look
one was right.
Yeah, I tried to look them up online to see where their like home base is, and it looks like it's in Florida. Is where they're brewing. But they're like
inspired. Please tell me they're inspired by a European country.
They have
like Germany.
On their website, they have 2 links to these European brewers, and so I think that they collaborate on their flavors and their brewing.
It's a product of Lithuania.
I'm telling you, the brewery
clearly
actually
says
in Florida.
Lithuania.
Okay, maybe it's because of how they have
It's brewed
to.
out of the North Miami Beach, Florida.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's probably canvassed, like processed and all that stuff there. But
but they got their recipe in Lithuania, or
it just screams German to me, and I don't know why, but whatever.
Okay, so hard coffee that may be 2 years old. So it's actually pretty good.
No, it's real good.
Yeah, like I would have more of these for sure. I don't, and it's going to be a thing because I'm like, oh, I can't find them.
I would have more of these if they made them still, but they don't.
Not enough people were drinking this. It's got a bit of sweet, but not too much. You definitely have the coffee flavor, which I've said on previous shows where we've had coffee flavored stuff. I love coffee, especially. There's the hint of caramel in there, which is super nice, but it's not overly sweet.
It's great.
It goes down well. It's refreshing. It's a refreshing cold coffee that is spiked.
Yeah. So where are you at with it?
I'd give it a 4. Now, when I looked back, so if you want to know, what we
gave
did the
old one a
pineapple
4, didn't we?
3.5. We were doing points. We were doing
crap.
halvesies at that
Oh,
point.
or halvesies. So I liked that beer, and I've bought that beer since then.
It should have been a 4.
It probably should have been a
We've given
4.
it to other people.
Yeah, I agree. And so just know I'm somewhere between a 4 and a 5 with this. So if I could give it a point, it would get a 4.5.
Nice.
I'm not certain I can give it a 5, but I'm really close. And until you said 4, I'm like, I think I might be a 5.
The only reason I didn't was because Pabst Blue Ribbon hard coffee is the measuring stick by which I measure all hard coffees and coffee stuff now.
Then you're right. This is better than that one. For me,
It is?
I'm going to give it a 5.
Whoa, watch out. That's better?
This is better. I like the flavor, the after flavor of this better.
Okay.
Yeah, I like this a lot. From the very first drink, I'm like, I'm in 100%.
Nice. I can see it in your face. And
Oh yeah, I'm like lit up when I drank.
Right. I was either expecting this is 2-year-old dust or
Just moths come out when you open it.
Or I can, and once you took a drink, you're like, oh yeah, I could tell. You didn't have a poker face for those watching on the YouTubes.
Yeah, if you're watching this, you can probably tell what the rating is going to be, but that's okay.
Yeah. All right. So we got a 4 and we
Yeah,
got a
it's
solid
very
5.
for me. It's very caramely at the end.
It is.
And I love that. Like it's almost like coffee at the front and caramel at the back.
Yeah.
It's scrumptious, and that's what PBR hard coffee doesn't have at the end, which is why I like this better.
Okay. And I'm not as big of a caramel fan. So I like it. Don't get me wrong. But like you could take out caramel of stuff that has caramel in it. And I'm usually like,
but not
oh, that's
this.
okay.
But not this stuff.
This is good. The way they made this good. And I really hope it's still a thing.
I love that you brought something on that we're like, don't even know if it exists. Right. Good luck with that, people.
I'm
Thanks,
going to go
listeners.
back to the place that sold it. I'm going to ask because, there's a couple places near us that we
and
we
ask
formed
if
some
they
bonds
have,
with.
buy whatever they got because
Right.
you don't know if you're going to get it again.
Yeah, for sure.
That's so super good for them not producing this anymore.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's weird, but we'll see.
Oh, this has a storing. Did you store this at between 2 and 20 degrees Celsius?
Yes,
I don't know what that is.
42 Fahrenheit.
Is that what 20 degrees Celsius
Sure.
is?
Football, milliliters, Celsius.
Celsius.
What the hell's going on
Right.
here? Listeners from Romania, this is.
Right. This episode is for the
We're
listeners.
now European.
The non-prostitute nymphomaniac listeners from Romania.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
trilingual listeners from Romania.
Sorry, America. You're not doing what you need to.
If you're in Lithuania or Romania right now and you can find this beer, ship it to us because we can't find it.
Nice.
All right, so where are we going from here?
All right,
I gave it
we're
a
going
5.
back to high
You gave it a
school.
4. We're going to high school.
So part of what I think, my child having this conversation, knowing she was in very late middle school, 8th grade, going into high school. I think, part of what started my thought process was in that age group, it's really pivotal, like your sort of definition of self.
Yeah.
And so being unique is a different animal in high school.
Agree.
So I'm like, hey, well, we'll maybe talk to that, but I kind of like, hey, let's talk about our high school. Were we unique? Were we cool? Were we uncool? Where were we at in high school? That late, 8th grade / coming into high school as, that fresh meat, were we unique or were we average? Just run of the mill. So I'll let you start.
So 100% agree. Just to recap, that middle school into the beginning of high school is when you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on and like
Right.
where you fit in the world, but also where you fit in a friend group, where you fit in learning, like what kind of student you're going to be. All that kind of stuff like happens at that same time. So 100% get your kid's perspective on this and going, just let her be herself. Why you got to judge? Shut up.
She lives in a tree.
Right. Who cares? She's a wood elf. I like just accept it for wood elf stuff. Okay, great. She plays a pan flute. So where was I at? I don't know.
Were you cool? Were you average? Or were you in the uncool group?
So
the dreaded.
So my wife and I have talked about this a little bit. And so my sister was super cool. like
She's super cool still.
she's still super cool.
Right. Gotta
but
say.
she was super cool back then. She's super cool now. And so I inherited some of that when I came into high school because my sister had already paved a path. Like I knew a lot of her friends, wanted to come hang out at our house. And like I saw cool people
Right.
that were older than me, which is awesome. Right. And I also had a giant stereo system in my car, and her friends would come over and go, "Can we borrow your car?" Like that kind of stuff. Right. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I got all the honeys. They just used me. It's fine. I loved it. It was fine. But so I think I fit into a weird niche, which was, I don't think I was ever super cool. But I ran in probably 3 or 4 circles. And somebody told me something the other day that really, like a couple of years ago, that almost made me cry when I heard it, which was I ran into an old classmate. She's working back in hometown.
Okay.
I went into a jewelry store she was working at. It's probably as much as I probably have to say about that. But and she said, I just want to tell you, I appreciate you. You always talked to me in high school, and not a lot of people did. And so she was like, she didn't run in good crowds. She had a harder, like she was, there was things going on. There's kind
Right.
of little groups that you go, that group's, they're probably getting into trouble. They're probably doing some things they probably shouldn't be doing. They probably don't have, parents at home that are like as attentive as they should be or something. Like something's going on there. There's a group of that. And so she's like, you never ever like made me feel like I was crappy or lesser. And I'm like, awesome. Like, I'm like,
Nice.
oh
Yeah.
my God. Like I didn't even think about it, but she's like, you always talk to me. We had class together. You never made me feel crappy about myself. I'm like, awesome. So, but I think I had a circle of people that were very athletic and what I would consider jocks. I think I had a circle of people who were pretty popular and like ran for everything and won all the, I got nominated for like things like Mr. Bulldog or Homecoming King never would win that kind of stuff. Just, you're kind of in the running, but you're on the periphery of that. Like you're not top 20. Right. I could talk to any of those people. And I think that's where my weird personality started, was the ability to kind of integrate with whatever group I'm around. So I had friends that were in these weird different groups, jocks, nerd. I have a kid who, like one of my good friends back then was like scored a 35 on a couple of them scored 35, 34s on ACTs and got bright flights to whatever freaking college they wanted to go to.
Right.
Like hella smart people. I was not a hella smart person. I should not be hanging out with the hella smart people.
Right.
But like,
But they appreciated that you took the time to talk with them, figure out who they are, know them,
and hung out. Like we
Yeah.
like went out and did stuff together. Like I had a friend named Kristen, a friend named Zach, and smartest people I probably still know. And I haven't talked to him in a while, and I wish I would. But like super hella smart. But they didn't go out and hang out with some of like the rowdier kids or like the partiers or whatever. And I could go out and hang out with them too. But I wasn't probably the first one they invited. Maybe the 12th one they invited. So I don't know. I kind of fit in this weird demographic. Like I'm a weird Venn diagram.
which is your uniqueness to you. But what's interesting is I think that uniqueness I shared. And this might be why we're good friends, because I was very much the same in that I was not huge in any one of the crowds. I was definitely not a big jock. I played sports. I played a couple of sports. So like you, I was able to, hang with the people that were playing sports. But it's not like I was top tier in sports.
Right.
So I was on the peripheral of that. I loved talking with smart people, but like you, I was nowhere near 30. I wasn't even near the 30s.
I had to take it
on my
3 times to
ACT.
get into college. Like I couldn't pass it the first 2 times.
On your ACT?
Yes.
I love that you said pass it.
Like literally, you have to have an 18 to get into college.
Okay. And you
I'm
were
like,
struggling to get
I'm
an
like,
18?
I could get a 17 all day long. My parents were like, you got to be better than this. Like, this is sad. And I'm like, you ain't kidding. Like, it was bad. Like,
Well, I did a slightly better than that. The first time I took it, I was really hungover, and I got a 22.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. And then my parents were like, well, you can take it again. And I'm like, well, the only reason to take it again is to try to get a 30. I don't think I'm going to do that. But I begrudgingly took it again, and I got like a 24. I'm like, I'm done. This is it. I'm not getting a 30. And that's what you get, the bright flight, right?
Yeah.
Was you got
Anything
money
over
for
30s,
30. And yeah, I had friends too that they were like, oh, I got a 36. I'm like, that's the top. I'm like, you didn't get one wrong. I mean, I'm sure you got one wrong. I mean, they don't.
Like I spelled my name wrong on the damn thing.
So like,
I got
what?
points off for what?
Right.
I got everything. Anyway, it was bad.
But I think I loved talking with those people because I always loved learning things from people. So if you could give me a way of looking at something, or if I could talk with you and whatever it might be. So I loved talking with almost everybody. And the only thing you didn't want to do in my high school, so I was you're in a small town, but I was in a small high school, big town, small high school because it was parochial.
Yep.
We also didn't have girls. It was an academy, so it was all boys, which kind of changes that dynamic of cool versus not cool because it's not like who's dating who.
Right.
It's mostly
It's got to be athletic related.
it's athletic, and there's really a pecking order of who can beat the other person up.
Yeah. I would expect nothing different from an all boys.
So every day you're just like, please don't give anyone a reason to take a swing,
Right.
which I'm good at, right? If somebody if someone took something wrong,
diffuse.
yeah. That's my
Abort.
superpower, right? Is I can make someone laugh, come up with a quip and go, hey, no, it's all good, man.
Yeah, there's no reason for any of this. Like, that's all.
Let's
That's all
just
good.
have fun. Yeah. I'll share a beer with you after school. I know you're too young for that, but I got a hold of a 6-pack, and that makes me quasi cool, right? Is like if you find alcohol,
I'm cool enough.
You're cool.
Yeah, I'm cool enough.
Right. So when I went to parties, nobody noticed that I was at a party, but there were people that I knew who, unfortunately, and this is terrible, they would show up to a party and people would notice in not a good way necessarily. They're like,
who invited that
right.
person?
And they're like, why is such here? And I'm like, man, that's no good, man. Just let him in. Don't just you do you. Don't worry about that.
That person's going to sit against a wall, hold the wall up for the afternoon and just watch.
Right.
It's all good.
So yeah, I was in the same way. I was not in our school, I think, to be unique, unless you were the star athlete or rich, because money mattered in high school, at least in parochial kind of land.
I can imagine that.
Where it was like, if you had all the nicest, you had nice clothes, you had good fashion, blah, blah, whatever. Like that was, if you had money to play around with, because that usually meant that you could get stuff for people, right? You could get alcohol, you could, whatever.
You had access to more things.
Yeah. I was neither of those. Didn't have, money, wasn't the stellar athlete. So I'm like,
Somewhere in the middle.
I was trying not to be unique, because the opposite of that was if you were unique in a bad way.
Yeah, you're getting your butt handed to you.
Somebody might, pull your pants over your head, or slam. We didn't do that, right? Like that's real old school, but we did locker checks. When I say we, I didn't do them, but I was probably on the receiving end. You got booked. That was the least thing. Someone comes up, hit your books.
Yeah.
Second was getting lockered, where someone just hockey style.
Absolutely forechecks you into the boards.
Right. And then third would just be if you got somebody so ticked off at you, it would just be let's start swinging, out on the field. So I didn't want to be any of those. So I was just like, hey, I'll sit here, do my thing, talk to people around me, make them laugh, and laugh myself. So same deal.
So I always thought, and this is a complete tangent. We don't have to go. This may be a whole different podcast. We need to do a whole different podcast on it.
Or a whole nother.
That
might fit there. Whole nother podcast on this.
Okay. Well, good.
Or a whole different.
This will be your topic, which is if I knew then what I knew now. Know now, right? Like, so if I had known, if I'd have been the human being I am now back in high school, not that I would have been different, but oh my God, would I had more fun. Because I know way more stuff. Like I know how people work now,
right?
And I wouldn't have been trying to like figure out why these people don't like these people. Like I just like so much more fun. And I had a good time. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I freaking got arrested at 17 for having alcohol.
Right. Yeah.
Like I've done some weird stuff, but yeah. Anyway, so high school's a weird time. I love you for having a daughter that's still in it, and I just went through it with two. So,
but it's interesting. Their high school life is just so much.
It's way different
than mine was.
You had 0 wood elves in your
and no
high
one
school
cared
class.
about making sure everyone was included in the party or everyone was included in the
purposely
the gathering.
excluded.
teachers just wanted to. I mean, sounds terrible, but it seemed like teachers just wanted to do their thing, get out. Like there was no extra. I never went to office hours or afterwards or emailed my teachers or said, hey, or went to a counselor. I think I had one, but I only utilized that in senior year when I'm like, how do I go to college? And it would be like, you need a 20 on your ACT and then fill out this application.
Yeah, they're the same for me. And they're like, hey, you took your ACT. We need to probably talk about a career test for you. Like,
right. What do you want to do?
Based on your ACT score, we're going to take the first 3 pages off this career test. You take the last 2 pages.
Right.
Right. Like, you can voluntarily pick up trash in the park. I'm like, great. Damn it.
That's a job. We need it.
We do.
Don't want to knock it. So I guess then, because we're coming up on time here.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure we could talk about things
apparently we can talk about this forever.
High school stuff but so I'm kind of trying to bring it all together, right? Like so there's this uniqueness factor, right? And it seems like in the middle school, high school area, it's very much a thing, but it's not really a thing. Like people don't want to necessarily talk about it or acknowledge it because especially nowadays, it feels like it's sort of, calling out a uniqueness unless it's maybe top athlete. But, in this day and age of so-called everyone gets the award or participation, like is uniqueness good? Is average good? Is there a wrap up to that? Or is it just, this is the way of the world? We're kind of tending towards more, everyone's got to be unique. That's kind of where I was going with it. It feels like that more and more it's looked on that everyone really needs to be unique or there needs to be a uniqueness, and that kids these days are in their head trying to be unique, but not bad unique. Does that make sense?
It does. What I think, so let me, so I'm going to reference high school just for one more second, which is, I had a couple friends in high school and I still have them now. I talk to them fairly frequently. And their uniqueness was, I think they would have been, I think one of them was pretty good at sports. I think he was a good wrestler. But their uniqueness was they got into like extreme sports, like BMXing and that kind of stuff. And they got really good at it. As Grant and Shannon, they were like dope at it. Like, and I wanted to be that, and I never could. Like, I watched, like
I can bury Ollie on a skateboard.
And
that's
like,
just one jump.
Yeah, like I really wanted that for me, and I'm like, it's not in my cards. And I think what kids are doing now is forcing uniqueness. Like they were talented in that. They found something that they were passionate about and got talented at it. Like you have to be passionate about it. Like if you're passionate about something, you'll find a uniqueness there. Whatever that is, you'll express yourself through that way, which will make you unique in some way because your expression of that passion will be different than most other people. But what I think people do now is they go, well, I want to be a TikTok star, or I want to be a Instagram star. So I have to do something funny or crazy or different. And you go force it. That's not unique. That's a skit. Like you're forcing a unique thing, right? Are you with me?
Exactly where I was trying to end up. Right.
Oh,
Yes.
well,
You're doing a fantastic job.
I wrapped you for you. I wrapped it for
you're
you.
putting into words what I was having a hard time doing, and that your friends, they found something not because it was unique, but it was something they were already passionate about. I love skateboarding. I love rollerblading. I love doing these crazy stunts. And it just so happens that not a lot of people do it, but we were doing it.
And I get passion and joy out of it. And then I like Michael Phelps. I like swimming. And then you go, I'm really passionate about it. I'm going to see how far I can go with it. And as long as you still love it all the way, go crazy. And that will make you unique because both you're passionate and you're driven.
Right.
But don't go dress up like a wood elf because you saw somebody on AGT dress up like a wood elf and they got 7 million followers. That doesn't make you unique. That makes you a copier.
Right. And don't jump out of your car while singing a song.
Right, because that's dumb as hell.
Right.
That's some stupid crap. Stop doing the freaking TikTok challenges. Jesus. But
Yeah, because like you said, all you're really doing is trying to make a skit and say, here's a play I'm putting on that's not really me, but I have to be this person in order to feel like a person or feel like I matter.
Yeah, agree. And I think most people are 80% average or 90% average and 10% unique, but you can't force the 10%. You are 10% unique in something. Go figure out what that is and be okay if it's not a famous kind of unique.
Right.
it's a, for me, I feel like I do weird hobbies and crap. Like I've got like, not very many people make wood duck or make duck calls out of wood. Or I'm not great at it, but I love it. It makes me kind of unique. So those kind of things, go find something you're passionate about and try to be good at it and pursue that passion.
Yeah,
That
I think
makes you unique.
the last thing I wrote on here, you pretty much said almost the exact same thing. I said
Killing
at the
it.
end of the day, kids growing up, pursue the things that you want, and your uniqueness will be natural, and the people around you will love you for
That.
your natural uniqueness. That is that 5 to 10%.
Yeah.
And don't strive for it to be more than that. Like it's okay, to be average in a lot of things, Oh, and because the last thing I put on here was, what do you want to be? What does everyone strive to be average at? And where's the one place that you go and you go, I really hope I'm average?
Ooh, what's the one place I go? This seems like you're wanting a simple answer.
It's very simple.
Crap.
There's one place that you
Heaven?
go, I do not want to
Damn it.
be off the charts. The doctor's office. Yes.
Oh,
That's
I'm like, when you get pulled over for DWI, you're like, I would like to be average.
no, when you go to the doctor's office, you're
Yeah.
like,
you want to be right in the middle.
all right, don't find something crazy that
Yeah.
you don't even know how to
That's
treat.
true. Nice. Okay. That's
like,
good.
like nymphomania.
Damn Romanians.
All comes back to
Oh,
that.
it always does.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
that was a good ad.
thanks. Okay. So thank you, everyone. We're kind of wrapping it up here.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you
are.
for your uniqueness. Thank you for appreciating. If you love and listen to us, we have our own brand of uniqueness. Like I said, we're not above saying that we try to do this for some entertainment value of people. So,
Yeah.
And I hope that the people that love and listen to it enjoy it. Great.
In Romania or outside of Romania.
In all the countries that we're popping up in.
Cool.
So yeah, follow us and do all that
Smash
stuff.
the subscribe, do whatever to the like button, hit some comments, give us some feedback. Would appreciate some feedback.
Yes,
Always.
just enjoy.
Yeah.
All
Thanks
right,
you.
thanks you. This was a unique episode, but not so much that it won't end. So yeah, the show's over. Come back later for more. Bye.